Painting from photographs is great, but painting from life teaches you more. It's more difficult in 3D, but this provides more opportunity. You get to decide the composition, the lighting, and you need to study the actual shapes. Whereas with a photograph, it's already been flattened for you, and if you only ever paint from photo reference, you're missing out on some vital learning. When you're observing something in real time, your eyes are constantly adjusting and noticing subtle shifts that a photo simply can't capture. Your art will seem more vibrant when you need to adapt to the changes in your environment. You'll find more expressiveness in your work, and your memory and recollection can improve too because you're concentrating harder. Let me show you what I mean. Start by picking an object in your home that you can easily break down into simple shapes. This beautiful red lantern is a great option because it has two main shapes, the sphere in the middle and the rectangular length. Working from life also encourages you to move around your subject, exploring angles rather than being locked into a single viewpoint. Every angle of it holds interest, so I'm confident it will make a nice page in my sketchbook. Okay, I've done a really light sketch of this, and now I'll choose my colours for painting. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many, just a few pre-selected paints are enough. I like to have mine out and ready so I can quickly apply to the wet paper and watch the reaction. If you're a bit apprehensive to make the first stroke, a good tactic I use is to begin with the background first. I've wet my paper so the paints will spread wide, and I'm going in with some lovely sky blue all over the image, just ripping the band-aid off, no tentativeness here. I begin with just a light wash of blue, and then I like to add some splotchy marks on top just to create some texture and variety of depth, and it keeps the background quite interesting rather than just a flat colour. Now I'm going in with the red to start bringing this cute lantern to the front and centre. Since I'm working from a real object and relying on the sunlight, I have to work at a slight pace to get in the highlights and the shadows as they are at the moment. It will change over time, but you can adjust for it. There's another reason why drawing and painting from life is good though, because it adds a little urgency and therefore removes more of the hesitance that you can have with limitless time. You just have to go for it. That slight time pressure can actually help you loosen up and make more confident, instinctive marks. The first layer is very light, and I can go over darker shadowed areas with more paint while it's still wet, so that it blends nicely. And where there are highlights, I'm just leaving the paper untouched rather than painting with white. By painting in this way, you begin to trust what you see rather than what you think you see, which is a huge step in improving observational skills. One of the most valuable things about painting from life is that it trains you to truly observe rather than assume. When you're looking at a real object, you start to notice subtle colour shifts, unexpected reflections, and tiny imperfections that make the subject feel real and grounded. It also strengthens your decision making because you're constantly choosing what to include, simplify, or exaggerate in the moment. Over time, this builds confidence in your artistic voice because you're not simply copying, you're interpreting what's in front of you at that specific moment. Drawing from life also reminds me of how things used to be before the internet made everything instantly accessible. So back then, you couldn't just search for any image you wanted on your phone or tablet. You had to really look for your subjects. So that could have meant sitting in front of something in your home, like I am right now, heading outside with a sketchbook, or just flipping through books, maybe encyclopedias for references. But there was a sense of intention behind it. And I think that slower, more deliberate ways of working can help you connect more deeply with what you're creating, because you're not just scrolling through your phone for inspiration, which is very distracting, and that algorithm will pull you somewhere else. You're experiencing it firsthand instead. And I think another really important part of drawing from life is that it gives you a chance to step away from those screens for a while. So much of our days now are spent looking at phones and computers, constantly scrolling and consuming. So sitting down with a real object in front of you just feels different now. It's quieter and more focused and a lot more grounding. It gives your eyes and your mind a break as well, and lets you slow down and really be present with what you're creating at the time. Even just a short session like this can feel surprisingly refreshing, and it can also act like a kind of meditation practice. That's how I feel when I'm doing it. I feel more relaxed and focused and in that flow state. I just wanted to say a big thank you as well to all of you who've been following along on this art journey with me over the past year now. It genuinely means so much to me to have your support and all your beautiful, kind comments, and to know that some of you are also creating alongside me. It's so lovely. And I'd really love to hear from you what kinds of videos you'd like me to focus on next. Maybe it's more loose watercolours, sketchbook sessions, tutorials, or something a bit different. So let me know down in the comments. I've also been thinking maybe it could be really fun to try a live video if I'm feeling brave. Maybe we could do some art together in real time. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in too. It would be such a lovely way to connect with you all even more. So thanks again for being here. Just because you're painting from life, it doesn't mean you can't still use your imagination. For instance, here I'm choosing to have the lantern on, emitting some glowing light, whereas the actual lantern is off. I just think it will add more beauty to have the light showing through, so it's my artistic license to do so. If you like, you can add some magical elements to your mundane object to add some whimsy as well. Drawing from life gives you a strong foundation, and from there you can bend reality however you like. If you're working quite fast like I am here, you might get a little bleed where it's not wanted, just because the adjoining layer of paint hasn't dried yet. But you can easily fix this by dabbing up the spread with some tissue. I'm using some very diluted Payne's Grey for the wire and leaving some white sections to depict the highlights in the metal. I found that drawing and painting from life helps things settle in my memory far more easily than working from a photograph. It could be because the subject feels more personal, but I think it goes deeper than that. My brain feels more switched on. It's working harder to interpret, observe, and make sense of what's in front of me. If you wanted to be fancy, you could use some special metallic paints for that sort of high sheen look or pearlescent look. So you could use a silver for the metal bits here and even a sort of shiny pearlescent red. But I'm not bothering with that. I'm just using regular watercolours here. You don't need amazing products to make good art. That's just not true, although they are fun to play with. It's just another approach you could take if you wanted to experiment. And I'm finishing off with the base it's sitting on, so using a big brush to quickly fill in a solid colour, and then a little more on one side to depict a shadow. And now this is the point where I just go in for any final little touches, like darkening the wire and the knob. Some detailing on the bulb. And a little bit of white gouache to accentuate or add any highlights I may have missed or that have now appeared with the movement of the sun. And similarly, but with the darker areas, I'm accentuating some of the shadows with thicker red paint. See how adding just a touch of contrast really gives it life? And a little more glow to the light that I'll blend with a damp brush. Since this is in my sketchbook and I'm not precious about it, I'm going to add in a little statement that I think fits this piece and the video itself. And that is, there is always light within you. So go and find a household object that's dear to your heart and pour your creative light into it. Happy painting!